This morning, we're very excited to have with us Margaret Miller. Margaret Miller from West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Margaret is going to be sharing a lot with us this morning around resources to use with children and families. And this presentation has been a while in the making. We tried to pull this off in the spring and weren't able to, and or maybe it was summer. It's been a while, so we're excited to have Margaret with us today. Margaret?
Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. Because technology is not usually my friend, but we will get through this. My name is Margaret Miller. I'm a retired teacher from Kanawha County Schools and a member of the Education Department here at West Virginia Public Broadcasting. There are 2.5 of us in the department. I'm the one half, and generally speaking, based on my educational background and my teaching background, I kind of look out for the older kids, the upper elementary students, middle school and high school kids. And I say, what are we doing for this group of students? Our education director for almost a year now has been Kelly Griffith, and she is an elementary teacher, previously an elementary teacher in Boone and Mason counties. And a lot of her background is in the primary grades. So she's here saying, well, what do we got for these little kids? What are we doing with the preschool through third, fourth grade children and their parents? And at the end of December, we were able to hire Harrison Evans, who is the new kid on the team, the young man who has experience in education at the college level, but he is really valuable to us because he really thinks outside of the box technology wise. What can we do to get PBS and West Virginia Public Broadcasting resources out to everybody? How can we use technology? What can we create? Plus, he became a dad for the first time in the fall, and he's always looking at resources like what's good for the kids. So that is our team, 2.5 of us at West Virginia Public Broadcasting. And generally speaking, our goals are to provide resources and outreach to the citizens of West Virginia, no matter what age, what grade, or in what kind of setting you are. So it could be a library, a classroom, homeschool, after school programs. We're here to try to provide resources for you to meet your needs. So what you see on the screen right now is how you would access, or the easiest way to access, a large number of resources for the one-stop shopping here. That's the website, wvpublic.org, for West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Depending on what kind of device you're using, you'll either see a band across the top of the screen that has WVPB Education, or you may have to do a drop-down menu on the left. But the important thing for you to click on is WVPB Education. All right. On that page, you'll find several opportunities for you to pursue resources, get more information, or do things with the children with whom you're working. And I'm going to go over several of those today that you would see on that one page. Right now, we are really promoting our PBS Kids Writers Contest. The deadline is March 31st. All entries must be postmarked by then. And this is a national competition, but your students, your children would be participating in the West Virginia um, Writers Contest. And the contest rules vary by grade level, but each child would write an original story and illustrate the story. For the kindergarten children, there's a 50-word limit. For the fifth grade children, I think it's a 400-word limit. So the number of words required vary by grade level as appropriate. When the students enter, they have to submit their entry with illustrations, as I said, by March 31st. And we will have them judged by college students who are majoring in elementary education at Marshall and West Virginia State at this time. And we hope to add more colleges in the future. but that's what we have right now. And those college students judge them, and we award prizes to first, second, and third place entries. And they get an Amazon gift card, and we hope to have a big celebration for them in April at the Clay Center, and just do a lot of neat things for the children. So we would love it if you had the children that you work with enter this competition. Um, we did prepare a writer's guide, which we hope helps the students get organized. And we did it in such a way that we used the vocabulary that they would be using in school. So it's reinforcing the reading and writing skills that they're getting in elementary school. And it's a guide that helps them get started. As you can see, the list on the screen says the first page talks about every story has a beginning and a middle and an end. Well, they brainstorm ideas first, and then every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And there's a little space for them to write how will their story begin, what will be in the middle, and what will the end. So the writer's guide is a little booklet which you can print off from this website and get the different pages to help the kids write. It's something they could do one day a week, well, maybe not a week since it's getting close to March 31st, but do a couple of pages of it each week, do the illustrations, and they could do that in the booklet. But then this is really important, and we learned our lesson the hard way here. Um, Once a student, if you're using the writer's guide booklet, they still need to write their story and illustrate it on a sheet of paper, Um, So make sure that the students do the completed story on any kind of paper and add illustrations to it, 5 illustrations, before you send it in. Don't send us the booklet. Send us their completed story. Um, the contest rules talk about where you mail it, the word count for each grade level, and then there's an entry form to complete so we know whose story it is, where to find them if they're a winner. Every student who participates will receive a certificate. So where do we mail those? Just that background information on whose story it is. And so we hope that you will encourage your children that you're working with in kindergarten through 5th grade to participate in the writers contest. It's a great opportunity for them to practice their writing. It's a great opportunity for you to work with them on writing a story. And we hope that by using the writer's guide, it makes it easy for you to make sure every step is followed and the students write a really good story about anything they want to. A couple of questions that we usually get is, does it have to be handwritten? And it can be handwritten if necessary. A student can dictate the story to an adult for them to write. They can type it. They can do it on word processor, the computer, any way they want to get words on the page. The other thing are the illustrations. The illustrations really need to go with the story, and they can be done in any way. They can be hand drawn, colored, um, computer generated, cut from magazines, or if necessary, they can be a tactile created story. And we have entries usually from the Schools for the Deaf and Blind in Romney, and those students always submit a story that has um, the illustrations are always tactile, so they can feel the illustration and make sure it matches with their story. But they're not in braille; they're just tactile illustrations. So, if you have questions about that, let us know. But everything is included on the links on the Writers Contest section of our education webpage. All right, Susan, I'll just plow right on unless you tell me there are questions. Right?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Keep going.
Okay. Thank you. Also on the main page, there are two things we would like for you to help us with. One is the education newsletter. We started this a few months ago. It's a work in progress. We're trying to figure out what do educators out there in the world want us to help them with and what's nobody reading. But on this main page, you should look for this logo and please sign up for our education newsletter. We try to make it timely with resources that are appropriate for a particular month or part of the year. We try to make it practical, and it does cover um, pre-K through high school and career and technical education resources. So please register for the education newsletter. It's weekly. You should get it on Thursday evenings, but maybe not this week. Um, we also have a competition for teachers who go above and beyond what is required in the classroom. And this is for kindergarten through 12th grade teachers and career and technical teachers that you know of who are just outstanding in what they do. And the things that we're looking for in this award are, first of all, are they just a good teacher? Do they teach their content? Um, do they also teach the students to be good citizens? Do they model appropriate behavior, good citizenship in the classroom? Are they kind? Are they caring? Do they participate in school activities or on committees at their school? Um, are they pursuing more education? And also, maybe are they involved in organizations outside the classroom that may be education related? If you click on the Above and Beyond logo on our website, you will get the nomination form. And the teachers that you know, maybe your children have them, maybe the kids that come to you after school talk about a great teacher they have during the day. Just we would love to have more nominees for this award. We have some funding to give them a monetary award, a t-shirt, some swag, that kind of thing, and recognize them in the newsletter. So we've had elementary, high school, career and technical teachers as winners so far from Kanawha, Nicholas, I can't remember another county, and then one from Lincoln County doesn't know they won yet because weather has not permitted us to get there. But we're trying to get teachers across West Virginia and just recognize the good work that they are doing. So please go there and nominate a teacher and be very detailed in when you're explaining how great they are. Okay. Those teachers are judged by um, some education department members from higher education. So, all right. Oops, sorry. All right. Now, also on the main page, you will see this logo, Sesame Street in Communities. When I think of Sesame Street in Communities, I think of resources that are educators, for parents, grandparents, and children. The topics that they cover are appropriate. They're done in a very careful and thoughtful manner. Um, and they're supportive of what people may be going through. And Sesame Street for many years had the philosophy that to present information, you needed to do a read, view, do. And for each of the Sesame and Communities kits, um, they're all online now, but each of them has something to read, something to view, and then something for you to do. So, as an example, if you look at some of the topics at the bottom, and there are many, many more topics, but in eating well, there is a children's book to read to young children about having a good diet and being healthy. Okay. There's also background information for an adult to read about the same topic. There is a video that shows different situations that adults may be in which it's a challenge to buy healthy food. And this may include a young couple just getting started on a limited budget, a grandparent who all of a sudden is caring for grandchildren and needs to look carefully at their their food budget. It has just a lot of different situations in which we have to look at how we're spending our money in order to eat well. Then there is an activity to do with a child or with the children about planning a budget, um, selecting good choices, having a balanced diet. So we use read, view, do in each of the Sesame and Communities activities, or I call them kits because at one point they were physical kits. Now they're all online. But in the Sesame units, they are very well done for these different topics. And you can see from the list of topics, they do cover some really tough issues that it's hard to talk to young people about. And it's hard for us to understand, maybe also. Financial education, though, is really a lot of for the little kids. It's an example of when there is a little kids activities. So many things there about helping little ones make good choices. Elmo, should he share a cookie? Should he save it? What should he do with this one cookie he has? And then how do you know when to spend your money wisely? So you have a balance here if you're doing a program for adults, if you're doing any training for them, and you know that there is an issue that the community needs to look at. You've got great resources. If you're looking for things to do with the little kids there for literacy or art, you can find things there. There, as I said, there's many more than what I have listed on this page. And it's the kind of thing that you're going to want to look at before you jump into use. I'm sorry, I just keep doing this. All right. The next thing on the main page, or one of the other things, is called All In. This was a series of lesson plans that we designed here. Kelly and I designed last spring for Cabell County. They were starting a program for grand families in the evening, and the program was going to have grandparents to come to learn about services for them to help them take care of their younger grandchildren that that may be living with them at that point. And so it was designed because the grandparents were going to be in one room and somebody was going to be supervising the little kids in another room. We didn't know who would be supervising the little kids or how old they would be or how many or anything. So we tried to design some activities that were appropriate for K3, thinking that's who they would bring, but that if older kids came, they could do them too. So we got 8 activities finished, and we pulled in PBS resources from PBS Kids, from Learning Media, just anything we could find PBS related, and put it into an evening activity for the children. We also put it in such detail that we knew that anyone who was assigned to supervise those children could do it, that you didn't have to know the teacher speak or education language in order to do this. So it's very detailed lesson plans, starting with what you need to do this, how long we think it might take, do you need technology, internet access, very, very specific. The activities cover many topics there. And one of the things that we wanted to do is to end each activity with kind of a conversation starter between the child and the grandparents. And so if the grandparents say, hey, what did you do this evening? Or how did this evening go while you were in the other room? The children have something to start a conversation. So it's not, oh, it was good or it was fine or it was boring. Um, Something to actually talk to the grandparents about. So the grandparents will feel like they are extending the child's education. And that's what we mean by the take home activity. And so my example is the first one that we did was called Zany Portraits. The children watch a video um, of how to create a zany portrait. And included in the video are some basic math terms like circle and square, line, straight line, um, dotted line, just basic vocabulary terms that kids would need to understand in math and in reading. And then the children create a zany portrait. So they watch the video, they get all the instructions, they hear and see the vocabulary words, and then they create their own portrait. The take home activity is when they leave, they have a little sheet to go with them that has the vocabulary words listed, and they work with their grandparents to find examples of those vocabulary words either on the way home or at home, just continuing the vocabulary discussion but having a conversation so grandparents feel like they're really engaged in their grandchild's education. And we know that worked really well because Cabell County supervisor let us know that instead of having kindergarten through third grade, they had pre-kindergarten through middle school kids show up, and that the middle school kids had a really good time doing the activity, but also helping the little kids make their activity better. We took a look at the other programs that we were working on to see if a mentoring situation, if older kids were there, would be appropriate too. This is the only one that we know that worked because the pandemic hit right after they did this one, and they didn't get to do any more of the programs. But we're hopeful for the future. All right. PBS Kids is also on your main page, and there's more on PBS Kids that I could begin to describe to you during this session. It includes all of the PBS programs, older programs, and as new ones are added to the PBS Kids lineup, they are included on this website. Depending on what kind of device you're on, this screen, the main screen, will look different. On some of them, the list of shows is along the right hand side, and you kind of scroll through it and they pop up. You click on the show that you want to watch or have activities to go with. Some of them, that's a little thing across the bottom that spins. As I said, it just depends on your device. But this is something, if you have tablets in your room for the kids to use, they can go on here and do the PBS Kids games, do activities. They can create different things. One of the newer programs is Xavier Riddle in the Secret Museum, and he looks at different heroes across time and through history. And since I was a social studies teacher, this is one of my favorite ones. He looks at those, what makes these individuals heroes, what was it they did, or what was it about them, what qualities did they have to make them want to be a hero or to do good things. And then the children can create a hero and put pieces of, you can see there's, I don't know why I'm pointing to my screen, you can't see me, um, but they can design their hero and give it a name and that kind of thing. So the activities for PBS Kids can be done, as I said, on a tablet or individual computers, but it's also something that you could, there are activities you can print off for them to do, or you could do it projecting on a screen and watch some of their programs. Some of these are clips from programs. Some of them are full length programs. And my challenge is I have to go look for that to find out what thing it is, whether it's a full length or just a clip. But I think this is something I would let the kids maybe do independently. Uh, I try it on my grandchildren, and they liked it really well. Um, PBS Kids for Parents is a good website also. Um, and it's not just, it does have the PBS Kids programs. And again, you can view some clips and you can view some full length PBS Kids programs there. Uh, you can print off coloring pages, you can do games, activities, a lot of different things. It has recipes, what would different characters cook. Um, and then in the Thrive section, it's for the parents really, which is education related articles like what's a good way to help your children understand kindness or resilience, which we all need now. Um, it has those kind of articles, but then it also has some practical things there too. Well, those are practical, but if you're really worried about some of the social emotional learning of the children and how they are right now, you can find some articles there that give you some insight on things to do. And one of the reasons I like this site is because it saves me time in finding things. There are drop down menus here, and um, you can search by age, topic, a particular show, and an activity type. So we know that Daniel Tiger is from Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, and we're looking for the helpers and the kindness. So I could look for maybe age three, topic kindness, show Daniel Tiger, and then an activity type. Do I want a worksheet? Do I want a game? And find that kind of thing. Um, it's something to share with the parents that they could do at home with their children. So some of the things here that we're looking at are for you to do, and some maybe encourage your parents to participate in this to to um, help them understand what the children are going through, giving them ideas. All right. Now, also we have inquire within libraries. And there are 13 libraries across West Virginia that have been identified as Inquire Within. We participate with them due to grant funding. The first year the grants told us what counties to go to, and then we have been able to get underwriters in some other counties. So we hope to grow the number of Inquire Within libraries as funding becomes available. The Inquire Within libraries have been given PBS materials, and the librarians have had some training with PBS materials. And what we ask in return is they do some special events with PBS materials. So it might be that a library near you is going to show a PBS video uh, and do an activity with that. It's something to look to that you may want to take your after school program to. It may be that the librarian would like to work with you to plan this event. Since he or she has to do it anyway, how could they involve your after school program with their library in doing this? Right now it's virtual, I think, for the most part, but we hope in the future that it will be face to face again, because they are doing activities with PBS materials, and we hope to continue to do that. And I said they were grant funded or with underwriting. And so what we're finding is that as we've developed these 13 and reached out to people who want to fund things, more people are saying, yeah, I want to work with PBS. I want to support and inquire within library. Please let us know if you are interested or you know of somebody in your community that would like to fund and inquire within library. I'm not sure about what the cost is. I think there are different levels of funding for different businesses or organizations, but we'd be happy to work with people in the communities to add inquire within libraries to this program. But we are starting a new program, hopefully April 1st, that will allow students from all over the state um, to take a virtual trip to an Inquire Within library. And the reason it says on the screen is check the newsletter in March for this opportunity is that's where we're going to announce it. But I'm going to tell you all about it. It will be called the Pathfinder program. And what we'll ask children to do is find a path to these Inquire Within libraries, 5 of them to start with, and do an activity at the library's website and they'll get a code word. I don't know all the details because it's not quite ready. But when they have virtually visited 5 of the Inquire Within libraries and have a certain thing that we're developing to show they did that, they let us know and we send them a little, PBS Kids stuff to reward them for finishing. So please sign up for the newsletter and be watching the newsletter in March for the announcement about our Library Pathfinders program. But we hope that you will have libraries in your community, if they're not already in this program, to join the program. On the main website at WVPB Education, on the Inquire Within page, it has a list of the 13 libraries across West Virginia that are participating in that. All right. Now, the big thing I do at public broadcasting is work with PBS LearningMedia. Um, this is a resource for pre-kindergarten through adult ed. It includes, as you can see there, many resources, thousands of resources of different types of media. What you really need to do, actually, this is the one oh shoot. I don't know what I did, but I'll find it. I'm going to try to take you, oh, hold on, Susan. Okay, I'm going to try to take you to this site and show you what resources we have. And this is where I said it's pre-kindergarten through adult, but this is for your older students in elementary, middle, and high school to really get some valuable resources. Thousands of resources on this site. You need to definitely register. In the top right-hand corner where it says Margaret now, it will say sign in. And if you have never signed in, when you click there, it will ask you to register. Um, and when you register, that gives you access to all the resources, and it also gives you access to some tools that you can use. You also can have your students register for this, no matter how young they are. But when they register, they need to click on the drop-down menu that they are a student, and they will be given, they will choose a nonsense name. And they're not,
Margaret,
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, were you trying to show the link? It's not, we're just seeing a blank screen.
Oh, okay.
We're
Hold
not
on.
seeing the
I'm
actual
going to say
link.
new share.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Do you see my screen now?
Yes, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Thank you for your patience, everyone. And I really do mean that. Um, what I was saying here, where it says Margaret, that shows that I have signed in. If you have never registered, it will say sign in, and then the drop down will say register. Um, for the younger children, um, you you need to have them register as a young student. And when they do that, they will choose a nonsense name. My oldest granddaughter that I practiced with this on, when she was little, she chose the name Sydney Running Chicken. And that's how she still shows up, Sydney Running Chicken. But the reason that's important is for privacy. We never want to get out to the world where these children are. So the younger kids really need to sign up as a young student. When they get in middle and high school, most of those that are signing up at school are using the name of their school. But the information is never sold. It's just, I'm always a worrier about the privacy, especially of the young kids. But once you register as a teacher, a K-12 educator, you will have access to all these resources. And when your students register, they will have access to these also. They can find information based on subjects, on grade level, whatever they need to study. So if they're doing something for Black History Month, they could come down here on social studies and find resources for Black History Month. If they worry, if they're in the arts and music, they're finding resources here. They can find almost anything they want on here, no matter how unusual um, the topic is. The resources are put on here by PBS stations from across the United States. So there's a lot of state history, and we have put over 600 resources on here relating to just West Virginia history because, face it, that's what we do for West Virginia history. But you can find resources on just many, many topics. So um, there's a lot of math resources on here if students need to drill or to practice some of their math skills. Many of the resources, more and more, are in Spanish and other languages. Um, so the kids, if they're taking Spanish and they need practice, have them do one of the resources in Spanish if you have the older kids there on that. But what you will do when you find a resource, and I am just going to click on a West Virginia resource. Coal mining is important and labor in West Virginia. So once you click on the resource, what you're going to see, and this is a collection, is all these resources relating to that topic in West Virginia. It tells that this is a video, a little bit of the topic, and what grade level it's kind of recommended for. So once you find what you want to look at, you'll take you to this main page. And I want to show you this kind of page because it's really important. If you want to use the Farmington mine disaster, or if one of your students is doing a report on mining in West Virginia or mining, um, they need, and they find this one and they think, I want to use this in my report later on. There's a little heart over here, and they really need to click it and make it a favorite so that they can find it again. All right, makes it easy. What we have too on the right-hand side are other um, related resources, and a little bit about this. If it's a West Virginia Public Broadcasting resource, you can probably download it. You can't do that for all of the resources. So if a student wants to save it somewhere, um, kind of look there to see if they can download it, or if you can download it. Right. There are more resources from that same collection. Right. Now, the reason to sign in and to register is so that you can use the dashboard. So if you look over here, we made this a favorite. And if I come over on the dashboard, I find my favorites. And there it is. So I can put some notes over here, which I really need to start doing, about why I chose that as a favorite, how I want to use that. Um, and then I can delete it if I don't want it anymore, if I just decided. But anytime you think you want to use something in the future, it's really important to make it a favorite. I could organize my favorites into folders based on when I think I want to use them or to make sense. And so if you have children using this for a social studies fair report, or they're doing a science report, um, they can put them all together in a folder. The tools that are available to you as an educator and to the children are lesson builder, quiz maker, storyboard, and puzzle. So you could create a lesson using PBS videos and integrate them into the lesson and save it and then put it in a folder. There are two kinds of quizzes that can be made, two or three. No, there's three. There's fill in the blank, multiple choice, and essay. So if you If the students wanted to make a quiz to practice studying for an exam, they could do that. And they have to create the answer key too. A puzzle builder is creating word search puzzles or crossword puzzles. So again, with my students, I think I would say, all right, you've got a science test on the periodic table of elements coming up. Why don't you make a puzzle to help you know the names of those elements? Why don't you make a crossword puzzle, and then you can go back and fill it in for practice, or have two students make puzzles and trade and work on each other's for practice. The storyboard is like a one-page poster, and it's pretty simple, but this is something that the students enjoy doing for a report. But it's a way for you to organize a unit you might want to be teaching to the children. Place your title. You always keep it private until you're sure it's really, really good. Um, if you click public, that means it goes on Learning Media and the whole world can see it. And you never want to do that. But once you have a storyboard created that you think is really good and you think that other after school network participants might want to use it, make it public and tell them, and they can find it on PBS Learning Media. And it's also good to put on your resume that you have your work published on PBS Learning Media. But you want to keep it private until you're sure it's perfect. You can add titles, you can add videos, any kind of media, and you can change the background. You just click on it. Oh, see, it will never be made public because I can't spell. All right. And I'm going to add some media, and I want to search my favorites. Let me tell you, these boxes here may show up at different parts of the page depending on your device. And I click right there. Oh, oops. Hopefully. Okay, there's my farming. Okay, I'll put that one in. I click on it. I add it to the storyboard. And I have a hot link to a video for children, for the students to watch, the children to watch. But this is something they could do for a school project. And if they have to do a presentation, they can put this on their screen and show it. Clip art has not been working, and PBS is going to delete it totally, I think. But since I don't have any clip art, I'll just delete that box. So there are tools for you and the children and students to use to create resources that they want to share, to practice studying for a test or work on an assignment. Um, and you can, if there's something, if you're in a situation where you want students to watch something at home or after hours, every um, every resource has a URL. So you can just copy the URL, paste it into an email to the kids, and they can watch it on their own anytime you want to. And they can share videos if they're working as a team and they think that everybody needs to watch a video. They can copy the URL and um, send it to classmates. All right. So I just typed in West Virginia. There are 1,417 results about West that in some way are related to West or Virginia or West Virginia. So we have put posters and videos and This Week in West Virginia History radio programs on here, um, thinking that is our strength. And there was almost nothing on Learning Media about West Virginia prior um, to us getting involved in this. And now we have a lot of resources. For the older kids too, there are so many career education resources. And I know in 8th grade, they start thinking about their career. Well, actually, in sixth grade, I think now in some schools they have career pathway classes. And I remember one of my grandchildren had to do reports on the different careers for each pathway. This is a wealth of information about different careers. Not and it's for um, all different levels of education. Pipe fitter and the Pythagorean theorem. I have to say I never really understood why I had to learn the Pythagorean theorem in school until I watched our video of a pipe fitter talking about how important that was. And so there's practical applications of math all through learning media and science all through learning media. It's like, why do I have to learn this? The favorite question of many students. So it's just so many career connections here for your older kids and even for the younger ones too, because careers are really in style now. So that is PBS Learning Media. And if you want to get in touch with us, please go back to wvpublic.org and check out all these resources on the main web page. And there are more, but these were what I thought I could condense into about 50 minutes. The other thing is we really need to hear from you about what you need. Um, I think I said at the beginning that our goal is to provide resources and outreach to the people of West Virginia. And we don't want people to think about PBS as being just, oh, those kids programs, or, well, there's Nova and Nature for the old folks. We want you to think of PBS education as being kind of a living, growing program to support the needs of educators of all ages and in all situations. And as we find who needs what, we try to address it. All two and a half of us, remember. So if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you want me to help you find resources, because I've been working with learning media and this stuff for almost 8 years, and I have a lot of stuff in this little strange file cabinet in my head. But we'd really love to hear from you. Education at wvpublic.org is our email address. It's easy. Education at wvpublic.org. And either Kelly, Harrison, or I will answer you. And the answer might be, well, I'll have to look that up for you. Or, yes, we think we're going to be able to get an inquire within library in that community or that part of the state in the future. Or there's no hope for that. We're very honest about what we can do, what we have the resources to do, but we're also very hopeful that as people are becoming more engaged with us, that educators are looking to us as like, yeah, I want to work with them. It's not just for little kids and old people. So that's my talk today. I've covered way too much in 50 minutes, but when you go to wvpublic.org and you look at the page for WVPB education, you will see all of the links to what I've talked about today in one page. And I expect to see all of you signing up for the newsletter. And we hope to have many more recommendations for above and beyond teachers. And get on learning media, you and the students with which you work, and stay safe. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, Susan?
All right, thank you so much, Margaret. I haven't seen any questions come in yet. I just want to do a last shout out so that we could check on that. See if anybody has any additional questions that they want to share. No, okay. I'm gonna